Hey, what's going on, y'all? It's been a couple weeks, but I'm back, and I had to refresh my mental health so I could come back as sound as possible. I have a lot of messages that I received, so I want to share them. A lot has passed in the last 45, 47 days, somewhere around there. A lot is going on. A lot of stuff is going on, and people are losing hope, but my purpose of being here is just to instill inspiration and encouragement. No matter how hard life gets, it's always a way forward. Always. When there's an impasse, winter never fails to turn to spring, meaning that when things are drab and dreary and the sun isn't shining, we always know that the sun will shine again, right? And so I was sitting here and I was doing something, and I thought in my head about liberation and how we as a people can liberate ourselves from the clutches of oppression. I was able to do it in my life, and I'm in the process of doing a couple things so I can move forward and teach what I've learned in my 46 years of being on this earth. And so I've always felt like an old soul, and I'm getting to the point where I'm becoming an old soul. And along that journey, I'm learning. And as I learn, my gift is to be able to share with those who are willing to listen and those who are willing to learn. So, liberation. What does liberation mean to you in your life? In what ways have you liberated yourself? And in what ways are you still oppressed? And how do you oppress yourself? Or is it something that you feel like that's being done by others? And if others are oppressing you, what ways will you find to liberate yourself? To take a stand, to, as some people call it, to revolt. What are you going to do in the instance, and that's where we seem to be collectively, because that's what's on TV and that's what's happening, and you have a group of people who will tell you that's not what's happening, but you know what you feel. And for a time I was thinking, maybe I shouldn't talk about this. Maybe I should just let it go. And then I realized everything that I've done in my life has brought me right to this point of being silenced. When I was a kid, I used to hear my mother say all the time, children are to be seen and not heard. Children are to be seen and not heard. I haven't heard that in a month of Sundays. I wonder if other people that parent say that to their children. Or are there people that are my age out there that remember that being said to you? I had to unpack that, because to be seen and not heard means that you don't quantify to have an opinion in any matter. You are to be seen and not heard. Children still have feelings. Children still have thoughts. They may not have the knowledge that their parents have about life per se, but they still have a voice, and their voice matters. So when children go through that, then they become adults who also don't have a voice. And so being able to unpack that and share with you, the liberation is going to come from the work of loving yourself. As cliche as that sounds, they used to tell me that all the time. You gotta love yourself. You gotta love yourself. What is loving yourself? What does that look like? What does that mean? People hear it all the time. What is the essence of loving oneself, and what does it look like when we do it? Accepting yourself is another form of liberation. Being worthy. Every single solitary person on the face of this earth is worthy, even when they don't act like they should. Even when they're doing things that seem like they are the least human things that you can do. Every person is worthy. But do they believe they're worthy? Because their actions over time, that's who you become. If you do those actions, they become habits, and then that's the person that you become. So a person could tell me all day, I'm a kind, loving, caring person, but all their actions don't speak to that. Then you're not a loving, kind, caring person. You think you are, but your actions don't actually show up in that way. So how do we show up in that way? By loving ourselves, accepting ourselves, knowing our worth, and not being the go-to person that everybody else needs when you don't have anybody for yourself. Finding people who want to be in your tribe. That's what this is all about. This is what it's been all about from the very beginning. I remember as a kid growing up, African American, both of my parents are black, and growing up in a household, and I remember them taking us to the mall, and I remember looking around at all the beautiful homes, and I'm like, who lives in those homes? And I remember my dad taking us around to the community and letting us look around, and nobody that lived there looked like me. Not one. And then we would come back to where we lived, and the houses were closer together. You know, we lived in a neighborhood that wasn't necessarily affluent. You know, it was just working regular people, but you could see the difference. And as a child, I couldn't tell it just made me angry because I could see clearly. And so when I say these things and people say to me, well, maybe you should stop talking about narcissism. How can I? It's entrenched deeply into the fabric of our human lives. As long as I've been alive almost 50 years. That's a long time. As long as I've been alive, I have seen it. It's a human condition. We don't have to like everybody, but we need to learn how to respect people. That shit has gone out the door. And you can see it when you watch, I don't watch the news because the news is fake news now. And I don't say that jokingly. I say that as an absolute fact. They took critical thinking out of the school 25 years ago. They took phonetics and reading, how to sound out words 25 years ago. I'll never forget, I told my daughter, I said, the generations that will come after will lack the ability to reason and lack the ability to read. And when you can't read and reason, you can't compete. You can't stand up for yourself in the way that you need to. So then there's people like that show up, that are leaders, that have to remember that there are people that may not have what you have, but they still deserve respect because they're human beings. We even have to check our own selves. You know, we may be just, regular working class people. I'm not saying that to make anybody feel like they're not special. I'm just saying it in order to show the difference, right? You might be a person that get on a train and look down on the people who homeless. I know people like that. Or you may not want to consort, where the grifters are. People who have been cast out from society. They're human beings too. They deserve respect too. So it's in all of our environments on a various levels. Even down to us not liking certain people. We don't have to like them. And just because you don't like that person doesn't mean that you can't find something to respect them about. But again, that has gone out the window because we live in a culture where it's communicated to us that our enemies are our enemies and that's it. And there's no room for dialogue in any of that. It's not true. What I watched last week, or I think it was the week before, no, it was last week, where I watched two people. One person who had grit and respect, and the other person who, is unfortunate, is mentally ill. And when I say that, I don't take that lightly. When I say mentally ill, I'm not talking somebody that could take a pill, which I think from the Western point of view, pills work for some things, but some things are just spiritual afflictions. They don't even have nothing to do with mental illness for real, for real. But when I speak about mental illness, I'm speaking more from an affect of a personality disorder. Cluster B personality disordered people lack empathy. Lack empathy. They're in, to go into the whole psychological point, their brains just don't function how normal people have empathy. You see a puppy die on TV, you might cry. You see human beings who are, I'm going to use the current migrants. Migrants got a bad rap. They just come over from Mexico and they just light shit up, That's the story that's being told. They told the same story about us. They told the same story about the Jews. They not like us. They told stories about everybody that's not like them. Anybody that'll fit that mold is what they do. Right? So it's just like we have to learn how to respect each other's differences, regardless of whatever. And narcissists, they don't have that empathy. They don't have that center in their brain to tell them that this person is just like them and they deserve respect. These people operate on a very low frequency. They don't feel good about themselves. They don't love themselves. And that's not all to say that all people who are narcissists don't love themselves, but all narcissists don't love themselves, if that makes sense. They are people who are really, they stand on a totem pole and some of them make themselves seem bigger. We're seeing that right now. Talk all crazy to a foreign dignitary and then just tell them that they got to apologize on TV. But you don't have any respect for anybody else, sir. So what makes you think that you're supposed to get all this respect? How you defeat people like that is by loving yourself. That's why so many of us collectively are like, yeah, I'm going to sip this tea and I'm going to take care of myself. And that's so important. But there are those of us who have to learn to take care of ourselves and other people. And those other people are wherever that is, wherever you are. Because if everybody decides to go in the house and drink tea, then who's the leader? Who's leading the movement? Right? So we talked about, some internal things that I won't discuss because this will be live, but we've discussed the things that we need to do as a community in order to enhance ourselves so we can continue to thrive, right? So it really requires leaders. Not everybody can sip tea all the time, or nothing won't get done, right? So the central point of this video is that hold on. I know that it's really difficult at times. I also know that it seems like everything is falling apart. And I also know that when we lack faith, at times, we lack joy. I tell you to hold on because no matter what your prayer, no matter what you chant, no matter whether you're in a yoga pose and you're meditating, you stay steadfast in whatever grounds you, and you don't allow yourself to fall off that track for nobody. Some of us fall off that track for ourselves because that's our process. But remember to love yourself in the process of getting back on that track and maintaining your level and sense of self in the process of falling off. That hope comes from us doing the things that we love to do and being around those people that we love to be around, that love and support us no matter what. It is essential in today's time that we find our community And again, you're not going to like everybody, but everybody has a purpose, right? And so you may not like Mr. John down the street, but Miss Thompson up the street, her and Mr. John have a connection. Because I often see online with you friends with somebody that I'm not friends with. I can't be friends with you. And then you wonder why you don't have a community. Yeah, I'm going to call it out. You wonder why you don't have a community. That type of thought is why we're so separated. Just because Miss Thompson and Miss Jack, or whatever their names was before Miss Jackson, don't like each other, don't mean that you and Miss Jackson can't come up with a collaborative idea that would help the greater whole. It's important that we understand the dynamics of what relationships look like and what they need in order to prosper, in order for us to prosper. And I say that because I hear so many people say, well, what's the plan? The plan is to polish your mirror, to get right with yourself inside. If you ain't right within, how you going to help somebody else? How we going to change our community if we're not right within our own souls? It's never going to happen. That's why we're so disconnected, because we're disconnected from ourselves. That's why collectively so many of us are like, yeah, I'm going to sip my tea. Well, I hope while you're sipping your tea and you're not involved in any of the things that are going on, I hope that sipping tea time is where we're really polishing our mirrors. And what does that mean? Doing the shadow work, getting into therapy, losing weight, doing yoga, going to church, going to the masjid, going to the synagogue, going to chant, because everybody is not going to practice Buddhism, and I know that, right? So there's a multitude of ways that we can polish the mirrors of our life. But ultimately, it's about us loving ourselves fully and honoring ourselves and accepting the fullness of ourselves. And in that love that we give to other people, we can give that to ourselves. I watch my mother oftentimes with her Bible, and she talks about the love that she has for Jesus. And she's dedicated, right? She used to be. Now that she's older, not so much, right? But she still get up every morning and she read her Bible and she say her prayers. I'm going to ask you, how many times do you get up and read the Bible in your own life? And what do I mean by that? That may seem like blasphemy. It's not. As much as you give to your practice, why are you not giving to the practice of yourself? So much of our energy goes outwardly, and there's not enough inwardly work done. Keep trying to lose my voice. Clearly, what I'm saying is meant to come out. Our faith sustains us, but our faith in ourselves also sustains us. Like when, people who are faithful servants of the Lord, and they go to church every Sunday. They're just doing their work. You're supposed to also love yourself. How much of your time do you feed into yourself? All of us have some sort of trauma that we have endured in this life. Okay? I don't care where you come from. There's something that we're all challenged with. If you don't have trauma, you have a challenge, right? And so those challenges combined cause us to sometimes to rattle us. We're human. Humans need other people. So therapy is important, because there's a lot of people that's sitting right now. They go to work, they come home, and that is their life. They do not deal with other people because they have so much trauma from dealing with people. But their answer is to isolate themselves completely from other human beings. And and someone may argue in the comments below. You can. But to me, that's not a full life. And if you go to church and you go to the masjid, you go to the synagogue, one thing I do know about God in the sky is that he is love. And if he is love, then that means that you are loved too. And loving yourself is the answer to all of this. And then to those that don't practice or worship God, but they have another goddess or a God that they pray to, are you putting that time and that love and that energy and effort that you give to your God, to yourself? Because you're made in the image and likeness, right? So if you're made in the image and likeness, why are you not loving yourself the way that your God loves you? Or your prayer loves you? Or your meditation loves you? It's giving you something back. When you meditate, you change your brain patterns. When you do yoga, you are able to express the fullness of your body in the beautiful form that it is and the heavenly form that it is. You're able to love yourself in a way that others can't give you. You have to love yourself in a way that you love others. And if you love others in a fucked up way, well, what does that tell you? Then you need to reevaluate some things, because you don't treat people like that. And I know not everybody is going to be good. And I know not everybody is going to do the right thing. But somebody out there that's shooting people got a mother, and that mother love him or her or them or however you identify. Over here, I accept everybody. And that's that. So I'll leave you with that. I want you to think about the questions that I asked. And I want you, when you get up tomorrow, I want you to say 3 positive things in the morning, 3 positive things in the evening, and 3 positive things before you go to bed. And hug yourself. It's going to be the oddest thing ever. It's going to feel so uncomfortable. But when was the last time you had a hug? It's important. Humans, we need each other. We need ourselves. Don't forget that. I'm always your friend. I'm always here. Drop me a message below. You can find me on Facebook, REML Peebles. You can find me on Fanbase as the Motivational Inspirationist. You can find me on Facebook at The Rebel Coach. You can also find me at my business page, Soulfire Marketing. Soul, that is spelled S as in Sam, E as in Eagle, O as in Octopus, U, Umbrella, L Larry, like Soul Korea, Fire Marketing. You can find me there. You can drop me a message or a note. And I'm willing to talk and have conversation and listen. Let's build. Let's continue to grow. Let's vibrate higher. Peace, peace.